Hey guys, before we get into this awesome show, I want to bring your attention over to our subscribe button. Right now, we have 96.4% of you amazing people that haven't subscribed yet. Subscribing to my channel really helps me out. It puts me towards making more videos, more high quality videos, and trying to really grow the channel. So if you could do that, that would be great. Would really appreciate that. In addition to this, I have great news. I'm going to be doing another show. I'm still going to be doing the Downtown Rams podcast, but I'm doing another show, the AJ show, with my co-host Adam Steele, my cousin Adam Grego, and we are going to be talking nothing but football every Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time to 2 p.m. Eastern Time live. We'll be answering questions, all of that. It's going to be a fun, interactive show. So make sure you follow the channel, The AJ Show. It'll be in the description below. And now it's time to enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Jake Ellenbogen of the Jake Ellenbogen channel. I felt like doing another video. I was going to wait until after the Rams and Cardinals game. And of course, I will remind everyone this is a full-on sports channel. I'll do other things as well, but right now, I really want to add on to something that I think is huge news with John Wolford taking over as the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. And I just wanted to make a video before we get into this. Already, I have to thank you guys because the video I did, John Wolford being the last hope or a new hope, that is almost at 20,000 views as I record this. So really appreciate you guys and all the subscribers. I'm almost at 800 subscribers. So I really appreciate you all. I just wanted to make a video because I've been hearing a lot of, well, this has never happened before. And John Wolford, you're crazy if you think he's going to lead you to a Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. And look, there's a good chance Jared Goff is going to take over. But I want to go down memory lane a little bit. And not for me. Obviously, I only know this because I've watched the videos, I've watched, Football Life, and I've read a ton about sports history and what have you. And I just want to, basically kind of go through this, and we're going to talk about the fact that even though you are kind of in the camp of not being confident that John Wolford could even potentially lead this Rams team to a Super Bowl, I'm going to explain to you why not just that I think he can, but I'm going to show you that it's happened before. What if I told you that backup quarterbacks have actually led teams to the promised land or have at least come in and have played really well? I feel like a lot of people are thinking this is a boomer bust type of game for John Wolford, and rightfully so. But at the same time, let's not act like this is the first time it's ever happened. I mean, you could just go back to, the Super Bowl, 2017. The Patriots, Philadelphia Eagles. But before that, Nick Foles. He takes up the mantle from Carson Wentz, who tore his ACL in the Rams game towards the end of the season. Nick Foles comes in, and he leads the Eagles to not only the playoffs, but the Super Bowl, and he ends up winning the Super Bowl for the Eagles. A little bit different here. Goff has broken his thumb. He could be back. Carson Wentz obviously tore his ACL and couldn't be back. So Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. That's the most recent, that's the most recent thing I can say in regards to this backup quarterback dynamic. 2012, Matt Flynn, the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, he took over for Aaron Rodgers. He got the last start of the season against the Detroit Lions. Many of you probably remember this because it's the first time I think ever that one game literally made this guy's career and got himself a contract the next year to be a starter, which never ended up happening because of a guy named Russell Wilson. But Matt Flynn with the Green Bay Packers, he threw for 480 yards and 6 touchdowns. So not only did he put his name in a record book, but on top of that, he got the Packers a win, set franchise marks, and at the end of the day, it earned him a giant deal at the time of $26 million by the Seattle Seahawks, which, of course, as we as I was just saying, Russell Wilson made sure he never played a snap for the Seahawks. But moving back, and it has been a while, folks, but I'm telling you that there's a chance. Kurt Warner, 1999. We all know the story, the Cinderella story. Kurt Warner is going to eventually have that big screen moment where the actor from, if you've ever seen it before, the actor from Shazam is going to be playing Kurt Warner. He told us that on our podcast, the Downtown Rams podcast, when he came on. Kurt Warner, as we all know, crazy story, undrafted rookie free agent, signed by the Packers in 1994, released before the season even starts, and then basically he's working at a Hy-Vee, stocking shelves, bagging groceries, what have you, and he's in the Arena Football League with the Iowa Barnstormers. He goes to play at NFL Europe for the Amsterdam Admirals, and then he comes to the NFL as Trent Green's backup in 1999 with the St. Louis Rams, and at 29 years old, he takes over. After a Rodney Harrison, you could argue a dirty play in preseason, Rodney Harrison dives in Trent Green's knee, and at the time, the Rams were thinking, and many fans are thinking, this is the end. But what ends up happening is that Kurt Warner comes in, and he leads the team to the Super Bowl, and kind of along the same lines, not the same exact story, because this story is just unprecedented in my opinion, but it's a similar story to what we're dealing with John Wolford. And, he comes in, throws 41 touchdowns, wins the Super Bowl MVP, and he starts the greatest show on turf, run. Now, it, never ended up getting to be as special as, it could have been. They did, it obviously could have been a lot more, and it was cut short, but at the end of the day, he's now a Pro Football Hall of Famer, and you have to obviously respect that. And, we know what he did with the Cardinals later on, but it goes to show you, this guy was the backup quarterback, but he worked his way up. John Wolford is somebody that he's actually been seen saying that, he had a job waiting for him on Wall Street, and, then the AAF came calling, the Jets came calling, and the AAF came calling, and then the Rams signed him shortly after his AAF stint, which ended because the AAF abruptly shut down. Moving on. 2003. Jake Delhomme, Carolina Panthers. Look, we talked about NFL Europe. It doesn't exist anymore, but once upon a time, two guys came from the NFL Europe and actually played in Super Bowls. Kurt Warner, who I just mentioned, and Jake Delhomme. Now, Delhomme, played in the NFL Europe. He was a preseason, lights out type of quarterback for the Saints. And then the Panthers brought him in 2003 as a 28-year-old who backed up Rodney Peete, who was a former Heisman Trophy winner in his own right. Coming off a 1-15 season, the Panthers, they were down 17-0 to the Jaguars. John Fox pulled Rodney Peete, put in Jake Delhomme. He threw for 3 touchdowns in the second half and led the Panthers to a win last minute of the game. Remained the starter for the rest of that season. And basically, an NFL record at the time, 8 fourth-quarter comebacks for a season. He got them to the Super Bowl. Delhomme threw for 323 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Patriots in that game. And, the fact is, he didn't win the Super Bowl, but Delhomme led the Panthers to the Super Bowl after they really felt like Rodney Peete was their guy. And 28-year-old Jake Delhomme from the NFL Europe comes in and just basically erases that and gives them some hope. And they had an opportunity to beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. How about Tom Brady? We're talking about, might as well bring him up, right? 2001, Drew Bledsoe was the guy. Mo Lewis of the Jets, he hits him. Internal bleeding, injury, out for the year. Tom Brady takes over, and the rest is history. He led the Patriots to 6 Super Bowl championships, was in 9 Super Bowls, but besides the point, that season he led them to the Super Bowl to beat the St. Louis Rams. How about Trent Dilfer? We always talk about quarterbacks like, well, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. We may use that unfairly against Trent Dilfer, but that's a heck of an accomplishment. Now, that defense was great, but guess what, folks? This Rams defense is great. I don't know if it's Brian Billick's defense, but it is very good. I think it's the best defense in football. I've said that before. Brandon Staley has found something with this defense. But Tony Banks, former Ram in his own right, was QB1 for the Ravens in 2000. He had 2 losses. He didn't have an offensive touchdown in a month. And Brian Billick said, 28-year-old Trent Dilfer, you're up. Dilfer went on, 12-4 Ravens, Super Bowl win over the Giants. That's what happened. He wasn't great. Only had 153 yards in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady only had 152. But he did enough to win the Super Bowl. He came in from a backup standpoint, just like Tom Brady and Jake Delhomme and Kurt Warner and Matt Flynn. And Matt Flynn didn't lead them to the Super Bowl or anything like that, but my point is that backups have come in and had good games before. Dilfer was no different, led them to the Super Bowl. Say what you will, he's used it a lot, but there's a guy by the name of Dan Marino who is one of the most talented players ever, and he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring, so you always have to give a guy credit when he is able to win the big game. How about Frank Reich? Buffalo Bills, 1993. Drafted in the 3rd round of the 1985 NFL Draft. I mean, he wasn't going to play. Jim Kelly was a starter. We all know Jim Kelly's great. He's a Bills legend. But Jim Kelly got hurt. And Reich came in and led the Bills to wins throughout the late 1980s and into the early 90s. Reich was playing in a wild card game against the Houston Oilers. And the Bills, they were down 28-3. It was 35-3. But then, crazy enough, Frank Reich had 28 unanswered, or rather he led a comeback of 28 unanswered third quarter points, in which a game that Buffalo ended up winning in overtime. Reich threw 4 touchdowns. So there's another one. Jeff Hostetler. You know, the guy that came in for Phil Simms, 1990, New York Giants. Hostetler won 2 last games of the season. Phil Simms broke his foot, and he comes in after the Giants were already 11-2. He comes in, and he's everything they could ask for. Hostetler throws for 222 yards, 1 touchdown, and Scott Norwood misses the field goal. So, we all know that against the Bills. Hostetler leading to a Super Bowl. Doug Williams. Dude he was a journeyman. He was a backup quarterback. Doug Williams, in a nutshell, was, you could say, Ryan Fitzpatrick. You could say Josh McCown. But Doug Williams came in after playing for the Arizona Outlaws of the USFL. He came in for Washington, backing up Jay Schroeder in 1986. Limited action. He got into 5 games. He started 2. Well, Joe Gibbs, the legendary head coach Joe Gibbs, decides to start him in the playoffs that year. He sends the Redskins, now the Washington football team, but the Redskins at the time, to a championship over John Elway and the Broncos. He was the first black quarterback to play in a Super Bowl. He threw for what was at the time a record, 340 yards, and was named Super Bowl MVP. He finished his career about 2 years later. But Doug Williams, make no mistake, was a backup quarterback who came in and led his team to a Super Bowl win. Once again showing that what John Wolford could or might not do is not impossible, and it's not unprecedented. Jim Plunkett, 1980. Legendary Raiders quarterback. He wasn't the starter. It was Dan Pastorini, 1979. 5 interceptions in his first action off the bench. But then he leads the Raiders to the Super Bowl in 1980. They're the first wild card team in the history of the league to ever win it all. He threw 3 touchdowns in that Super Bowl game, won the Super Bowl MVP, and he is one of only 4 players to win the MVP and the Heisman Trophy. Roger Staubach, Marcus Allen, Desmond Howard. Those are some of the other guys. Plunkett then did this again 3 years later for Mark Wilson, who starred for the LA Raiders. Went back to the Super Bowl and beat Washington. We move on. How about let's stick with the Rams? Vince Ferragamo. You had a guy in Pat Hayden who started for 4 years. He breaks his finger. Interesting there. Ferragamo takes over. He earns tough wins against rivals and the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. And the Rams go to their first Super Bowl in franchise history. They lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a game that they probably could have won. But this is a former CFL quarterback. And guess what? John Wolford sitting there at 25 years old. Guess how old Vince Ferragamo was? 25. All right, here's my last example. I did some research, clearly. My last example on this is very simple. It's the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Miami Dolphins will forever be enshrined in the record books for being perfect. 17-0, 1972, you hear about it all the time. I don't know personally if that is ever going to be broken. I don't think it is, but who knows? But people don't realize. Well, I mean, people do realize, but not everybody. Not people my age. I'm 25, and I don't think I've ever heard this guy's name mentioned. I mean, I've mentioned it before, but I don't feel like anybody my age has mentioned it before. Earl Morrall, 38-year-old backup. He comes in for Bob Greasy. The 5th game of the season, Bob Greasy gets hurt. And this is the very elite Dolphins. I mean, they went 17-0. And Morrall leads them 11 straight flawless starts, leads them to the promised land, wins the AFC Championship, and then the Super Bowl, Don Shula says, well, Bob Greasy's healthy now, so I think we're going to play him. Sorry, Morrall. Now, you can say, well, Bob Greasy won the game. I'm not here to debate about a 38-year-old backup coming in and filling in for Bob Greasy, what have you. But what I'm saying is that without Morrall, the Dolphins don't go 17-0. Very important here. It's pretty crazy, and I think the thing is, and the reason I think this is so, it's not common, I would say, but the reason I'm not surprised by, any of this is because this is the NFL. If you want to count out John Wolford, by all means, count out John Wolford. I am not personally. I've watched his film going back to Wake Forest, which I'll mention that it was brought to my attention that John Wolford, and I don't know if you've heard of hashtag Wakeygate, but John Wolford in his first 3 years at Wake Forest. I said in that video that went absolutely insane that John Wolford struggled in his first 3 years. He also was going up against every single team that knew the playbook. The whole Wakeygate thing with the announcer for Wake Forest, he was giving their plays to each opponent. So John Wolford had his back against the wall. And then, of course, his senior year, the final year where they didn't have, any plays on him, he goes 29-6. This guy's 6'1", and people want to say he's 5'10". They want to act like he's, really short and doesn't have an arm. I swear I'm going to hear a noodle arm. But, folks, I believe in John Wolford. I do. You can't change my mind. I just gave you 10, 11 different examples of guys that have come in as backups and have changed history, have rewritten it, have taken over in their spotlight, their time to shine. And Wolford is going up against a Cardinals team that I don't think have an elite defense by any stretch. And just because Wolford is in as the quarterback doesn't mean the Rams' elite defense doesn't all of a sudden turn to dust. This is still a very, very, very good defense that gives him an opportunity. I'm not saying Wolford 100% is going to win this game and send them to the Super Bowl, because I'm not 100% sure the Rams won't move on to Jared Goff. And, we'll talk about that after the game, whether I think that's the right decision or not. Spoiler alert, I don't. I wouldn't rush back a guy with a thumb injury, especially after I was at the game when Drew Brees broke his thumb against the Rams and was out for 5 weeks. Teddy Bridgewater came in for the Saints last year. Same injury, same doctor. There's no way that I'm doing that with Goff. But either way, this is why, guys. I mean, it's happened before. It can happen again. It's been a long time coming. There are examples all over the place, and there's a parallel example with Vince Ferragamo. John Wolford has had opportunities in preseason. He's had opportunities in the AAF. He was a superstar in the AAF. And furthermore, I don't know if you guys saw the Twitter video of him rolling out of the pocket the Rams posted, but we didn't get to see those scrimmages, and all I remember seeing were beat writers who were at that scrimmage. They couldn't show you video because of the Rams guidelines, and they couldn't tell you exactly what was happening. They couldn't tell you the personnel or anything like that, but everyone kept talking about John Wolford. And at one point, it sure sounded like John Wolford, since he did get to go against the number 1 team defense as well. It wasn't just Goff going against the ones and Wolford going against the twos. At one point or another, it sounded as though John Wolford was outplaying Goff in those scrimmages. But we will see. That's going to do it for me. I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Before I go, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about something that's coming up. It's a project I'm doing with Adam Steele. Definitely want to go follow his channel if you're a Steelers fan, or if you're just a football fan in general. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He's so knowledgeable, in fact, that I cannot wait to partner with him. We are going to be starting the AJ Show. You can follow us in the link in our description. The AJ Show, it is coming to you live every Saturday. Once it drops, it's going to be every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're really excited about this show. We're really excited about the potential. And we are going to make this thing the best thing possible. It's going to be all football, NFL draft, maybe some college in there. But we are going to make this a show that you guys deserve. We're going to make sure that the quality is top notch. As for my channel, I'm going to be making sure this quality is top notch. I appreciate every single one of you for not only watching my videos and listening to me talk on podcasts, but continuing to support me by telling your friends, your uncles, your dad, your mom, your sister, your brother, anything about my content. I really appreciate that. And I won't let you guys down. I'll be back after the game. Might even do a live stream because I am so excited to see John Wolford. And I said it on Twitter and people thought I was a little crazy. This is the most excited I've been for a Rams game in 2 years, almost fully 2 years. Obviously, the Super Bowl, it was pretty exciting going into that. But this is really exciting to have a guy that is taking over under center when Jared Goff has been the quarterback since week 11 of 2016. It's a whole new thing. We have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm confident. I gave you my examples of why I'm confident because it's happened before many times. Super Bowl loss, Super Bowl win, playoff lead, week 17 heroics from Matt Flynn. I'm expecting a good game out of him. I'll throw a stat line. Out there for you. 315 yards, 65 on the ground, 3 total touchdowns, 1 on the ground, and I'm expecting Van Jefferson to have the best game of his career so far, which isn't saying a whole lot, but I've been waiting for him to break out. Cooper Kupp's out due to COVID, so it's going to be Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, Josh Reynolds as the big three. I'm expecting Van Jefferson with his connection and the amount of reps that he's received with Wolford to pay off in huge dividends. I do have the Rams winning this game. I have the Packers beating the Bears, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Rams are going to beat the Cardinals in this one and send themselves to the playoffs. And that's going to be John Wolford leading them, not Jared Goff. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will be back soon. You guys take care. Go Rams.